What's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Stigler. I'm a pro football performance coach, and today I'm going to take you through exactly what the English national team does to prepare for important matches through their sports performance training. Okay, so I'm going to tell you why this may be beneficial for you, what I may do differently, why the players are doing exactly what they're doing, how you can do it with a little bit of less equipment, where I get into everything here. I'm going to be doing a ton more of these reviews. I have one coming up on Real Madrid's training. I have one coming up with a really popular influencer on social media and what he does for his gym training. So make sure to stick around and check it out if you're interested.
So let's get into it right here. Here we have Harry Kane doing a seated calf raise, and you can kind of see he does it in an explosive manner. If we rewind it right here, he's going as fast as he possibly can on the concentric portion. And one of the reasons that this is really important is because this is going to help obviously train his fast twitch muscle fibers, specifically with the portion of the calves that are activated in a bent leg position. And the reason that this may be important is because this actually works a ton of things in terms of injury prevention along the knee. You can do the same thing in a standing variation to train the calves in a little bit of a different way. And the standing variation is going to be a bit more specific to top speed, whereas the bent leg position is going to be a little bit more specific to acceleration, if that is your main goal. You can see Raheem Sterling is doing a depth jump, and to me, this looks a bit like he's doing a readiness test.
So this is a really fancy way of basically measuring how ready the body is to perform on this individual day. A lot of the times, if you're on a youth team or if you're on a semi-pro team, you're not going to have the luxury of having something like a force plate to be able to measure this. But at the same time, what you can do, and something that I use with a lot of my athletes to measure my readiness, is just get them on an assault bike or any type of bike really, and then you can just do like 3 max sprints to see how fast and how high you can get those numbers. And that's going to be a really good way of telling if your central nervous system is a bit fried or if this is a day where you're actually feeling really good, and you can adjust the volume based on that. I don't like to get too fancy with this unless if I see a huge drop in numbers. Like let's say you were doing an assault bike and your max wattage was like 500, just for sake of math. And then let's say one day you got 480 instead of 500. Probably not going to change too much in terms of your program. But if one day you got 500 and then the next day you come in and you got like 350, I'd be like, okay, we should probably back off, because there's no way that you got that much slower since the last time that I've seen you.
One of the cool things about the actual depth drop too is this measures their ability to react to the ground, which is a bit more specific to what we see on the football pitch in comparison to just a regular type of box jump or something along those lines. So right here, you see a couple of the guys doing weighted jumps now. So one of the big things with this is you want to make sure that you're ordering your exercises properly.
So one of the reasons that you may do a weighted jump before a regular jump is because of the amount of speed that's required to do the movement. Oftentimes, and this is a bit of a generalization, but if you have questions on how to actually order your exercises, whatever exercises require more speed and less weight are going to go earlier in the program. And the reason for that is because if I do a regular box jump with no weight on me, it's not going to fatigue me as much as if I was holding weight. So you can do the same 2 exercises, but you can get more out of each of them by ordering them properly. Whereas if I flipped them and I did my weighted jumps first, this may actually fatigue me then for the regular jumps, and then I may not get as much out of this exercise as I possibly could. The one big caveat to this is you want to make sure that you're warmed up, because it's not like you then should say, oh, let me go into the gym and then do my max speed sprints, because that's a really quick way to tear a hamstring. Your warm-up should be slow. It should kind of get you going. You can maybe do like some glute bridges, some mountain climbers, some general hip work, then start to do maybe extensive plyometrics to really get the body warmed up and used to faster movements, and then you can go into your max speed stuff and then start following that rule of faster stuff early in the workout, heavier and slower stuff later.
And you can see here, yep, they're definitely using some type of technology to measure their readiness with this as well. And you can see there that they're actually using, again, a little bit of ground reactivity. And there's Jamie Vardy doing his thing. So when you do a little bit of a drop and you actually catch air there for a second, that is another way to add just a little bit more eccentric force and a little bit more speed to the movement. Now here you see they are doing single leg glute bridge overcoming isometrics. So they put enough weight on that bar that they know there's absolutely no way that that barbell is moving, and they're just pressing into it as hard as they can. And that's just a certain type of isometric that can kind of act as a neural activation factor. You actually can do that exercise before the plyometrics as well if you want to drive a little bit more force output there. Right here is a really cool exercise where they're actually doing drop single leg RDLs. So the reason for that is they're really overloading the eccentric portion and they're practicing loading it really quickly. So that's often a way to train deceleration for footballers in a way that is a bit more specific to what you see on the pitch. And the single leg variation is going to be really beneficial just because, especially in that hip dominant position, it's going to work that upper hamstring, which is really important in terms of slowing yourself down during a lot of movements that we see on the pitch. Now, this is an exercise that I might actually switch out if I were them, just because you can see that position that Dele Alli was in, I believe that was Dele Alli there, is actually really similar to the positions that you'll find yourself in during a single leg glute bridge drop catch. Now, maybe they were on different programs for the day, and that was his variation versus the other guy's variation. But at the same time, if you are just watching this video and you're trying to copy the routine, I would maybe do something a little bit different there for the hamstrings. Probably the easiest adjustment I would make is, at the very least, I would do something with more of a bent leg just so we can challenge a different part of the hamstrings if that is our goal. Or in other cases, maybe you start trying to do something where we start to load the hamstrings a little bit more and we start to do something that's a little bit heavier and a little bit slower. So we start to challenge different aspects along the force velocity curve. Again, I don't know what point of the season they're in during this. This video was posted like 5 years ago at this point. But for you as a footballer, if you are trying to copy this routine, I would probably add something in that's a little bit different in terms of being on the force velocity curve. And you'll see here that Sterling actually gets into something that is a little bit slower along the force velocity curve as he's doing some Nordics, which is a great exercise here. But again, if you're trying to copy this routine, then this seems to be pretty heavily influenced by hamstring exercises.
There's a few things that I would probably change up if I were them and if I was just making like a very general workout routine for them. Because again, I don't know what their situation is. They might be at a certain point in the season where they're doing certain things differently. I'm not positive. But at the same time, there's probably two big things that I would change if I was the one running these sessions. Number one, and most importantly, which I probably would change no matter what point of the season they're in, is I would make sure to do a little bit more frontal plane work. So this is going to involve things like Copenhagen side planks. This will be things like lateral lunges. This will be different things that start to challenge the body laterally. It's just really beneficial for improving your mobility, number one, making sure that things are staying healthy and you're feeling loose and your body's feeling good. But also we're just challenging different muscles at that point. We're challenging the adductors, the abductors. We're challenging the obliques a little bit more. We're putting the pelvis in a different position that is going to benefit you from an athletic standpoint. The other thing is this routine was very heavily hamstring dominant, and oftentimes I thought maybe it was a little bit repetitive in some ways. So different things that you can do is you can just challenge the body in different ways. I'd probably just, the easiest example would be to add some type of split squat into this routine, just something that then you're getting some single leg work, which is always a good thing, especially for athletics, and then you're also getting some quad work. We're making sure to strengthen everything evenly from the hips to the ankles to the knees, and we're making sure to keep all those joints healthy so they can perform at their highest level and stay injury free. I hope this was helpful, guys. Like I said, I'm going to keep these types of videos coming where I'm reacting to pro footballers and different influencers' routines so that I can give you a full breakdown of what is maybe beneficial to you and what is maybe something that you might want to just completely cut out of your routine. So again, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.